Hello, I'm Melissa Goodman, County Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences. Today we're going to be making a recipe called Pumpkin Apple Muffins, and try to say that 3 times, Pumpkin Apple Muffins. It's kind of hard. We're going to be using pumpkin, which is a winter squash, and it has a lot of nutrients in it, especially vitamin A. It's very good for you. We're also going to be using apples in our diet, great source of fiber. And then our flour in our recipe is going to be whole wheat flour and all-purpose flour. And so the whole wheat flour is a great addition instead of just using refined white flours. And so we're going to add oil, cinnamon, ginger, ground nutmeg. We're going to have eggs as a binding agent. Also, we're going to have honey as a sweetener, and then salt and baking soda. So I hope you enjoy making this dish with us today. It's really good. It just evokes fall, the smells in your kitchen. I wish you could smell it as we go along in the baking today. Okay, so I have measured out the baking soda, the salt. We have our spices here, cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg measured out. We have part of our apples. They're already starting to brown, which is a completely normal process. We have our canola oil measured out. I checked each of the eggs individually to make sure that each egg was good. On the honey, this honey is started to granulate, but that's okay. I did spray a little bit of olive oil cooking spray on the inside so that when I pour it out, it won't adhere to the side and I will get all of the honey into the mix. I'm going to cut up a couple more apples. Now the apples need to be a very thin cut, and so you always want to make sure you protect your fingertips, and so I'm going to try to slice my apple pretty thin for my first cut, and then I'm going to come back and do a cross cut on the apple, and then possibly, so right here I have some apple slices at this point, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to make tiny cuts this way for a good fine slice. And then I'll probably come back one more time and try to cut through that center there and get a little rough chop. Now I'm a rough chop girl. I'm not a fine mince in any way, but you just want your apples to be cut in the same size so that they'll cook nicely in the apple muffin. And then the last thing we want to do is measure out our whole wheat flour. I've already got the white flour measured, and so we need a cup and a fourth, I believe, yes, a cup and a fourth of whole wheat flour. And so to do that, I have my cup measure here, and we're going to spoon it into the cup measure over, and I'm not going to pack it down like you would brown sugar, and I have a bowl to catch my mess underneath. I always said that if I had a cooking show, it would be called the Messy Cook. And then I'm going to use a knife to slice. So see, I need a little bit more in here to get a good full cup, because baking is precise. So there's 1 cup of flour, and then I'm going to add a fourth of a cup to it, and that's going to have everything that we need to measure today ready for the pumpkin apple muffins. And so that for the ingredients here that we have measured, we are going to mix our dry and our wet ingredients together, all except for the apples, because we fold them in last. We're going to do that next. So we're going to take our dry ingredients and mix those together. So there's our flours. Here we have our spices, our baking soda, and our salt, and we are going to gently mix those together. And in another bowl, we're going to take our liquid ingredients. So here we have the eggs, the pumpkin, the honey, and see how the honey comes out easier because I sprayed it with a non-stick cooking spray. And then we're going to take our oil and we're going to mix our wet ingredients together. Okay, and so now we have it all stirred together. We're going to fold in our apples. We have 2 cups of apples that are being folded in, and we just want to gently fold those in. Now, one thing I like to do when transferring this to the muffin pan is to get an ice cream scoop. Have our cupcake pan ready or muffin pan ready, and I have liners in there because we're going to be serving these to kids, and we want to fill it up 2/3 of the way full in each one. So if you use a ice cream scoop, it just makes it super simple, especially if you have varying sizes. Then you can fill those 2/3 full, and that's what we want to do. Okay, so now we're going to put the muffins in an oven that's set to 350 degrees, and we're going to let those bake in there. They've been baking for 20 minutes, and so we're going to pull. They're nicely browned on the inside. Look at those. Those look wonderful. You all feel comfortable after watching me prepare this recipe today that's something that you would be able to do in your own kitchen. The pumpkin apple muffin is a moister recipe because it has honey as the sweetener plus the pumpkin, so it's going to be a more dense muffin, but it's so good and packed full of nutrition, and that's really what we need to look for in our baked goods, that it's not just refined sugars, white flours. We want to try to incorporate the whole wheat aspect to add fruits and vegetables into our baked goods, so you're actually getting an item that's not only tasty, but it's full of nutrition as well. What do you think about that muffin?
I think it's delicious.
You like it? Yeah?